Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicely. Today we're talking about the movie Disturbia, not the Rihanna song.
No, not
Because every
Rihanna.
time I read the name, I was like, Disturbia.
Yeah, I say it like that too.
Came out in 2007. It's rated PG-13. It's an hour and 45 minutes. Got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. It is about a teen living under house arrest that becomes convinced his neighbor is a killer.
It doesn't really feel like an hour and 45.
It doesn't.
It's one of those movies that you watch and it's when it's over, it's like, wow, that felt like,
That was it.
yeah. It felt probably an hour, I would say. Felt like it was an hour. But I have watched this movie. I probably could have done the thing that you sometimes do where you watched it so much that you don't have to watch it again before coming on here.
I must have watched it with you before because I didn't know I saw this until I was getting into it and I was like, oh.
Oh, I watched it like 100 times, I don't know. And we watched it all the time back then because Shia LaBeouf was in it. I love Shia. Even though he kind of, I guess, turned crazy a little bit, but...
Aren't we all?
Go ahead and read that first.
Question, do you want the answer? Yes.
Yeah, for the first one.
This 2000 film is about two sisters named Ginger and Bridget who struggle with the idea that one of them is a werewolf. It is called Ginger Snaps.
So good job to the people that might have gotten that. And we'll read the second question here in a few minutes once
We'll
we
try
go.
not to forget.
And we'll try not to forget this time. Seems to happen.
Should we just read it right now?
No.
Okay.
So we'll start talking about this movie. It's one of my favorites. I've seen it a lot of times. Tons of times. But it's one of my favorite horror movies, and it is similar to Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock, but it was so similar because I don't think I wrote it down, but it was so similar that Paramount tried to sue the people who wrote Disturbia because it was they thought it was too similar, and then the judge was like, no, it has subplots and like romance and all this other stuff. It was like, it's different enough that it's okay, even though it was really similar.
Oh, okay.
To Rear
I didn't
Window.
even know this was a thing.
But I like the opening where they're fly fishing in the river and they're having a nice conversation, joking around, and he says, "Oh, I got this girl pregnant, and I'm having a kid and all this other stuff," and he's like, "All right, smart ass," and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it showed like a good relationship with an extremely tragic end.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I don't even understand what... Go ahead.
like you see that they have this great relationship, the two of them, and you obviously it makes you really like the father. And I mean, there's no like foreshadowing.
Isn't it Owen Wilson?
No.
Oh. I wasn't
Not
looking
even
close enough.
No.
I watched it on my phone, so...
Okay. Well, there was no like foreshadowing, like telling you like this guy's gonna die. It was just like straight up, all of a sudden he's dead.
Yeah, I don't understand the cars. What were they doing?
They were both fucking stupid.
Like it seemed kind of intentional, honestly. Because they sped up past him, then stopped.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, no, the car that stopped has been there. The car that swerved at the last second was the one that passed them.
Oh, okay. Maybe I thought they were the same car.
No. They were being a jackass.
Okay.
And they passed them because they were going too slow. And then they happened to see the car. And who the fuck waits until the very last second to swerve out of the way?
Guys, just PSA, slow down. know where you're going isn't that much. Like, you do not need to be in that much of a rush because
No.
like 4 people just died going up the mountain recently because they were going like 100 up the mountain.
Who the
Speed
fuck
limit's
does that?
35. Slow down, dude.
I don't get it. Like
If I get hit on the mountain and my dogs are in the car, I don't care how much pain I'm in, I'm getting out and I'm fist fighting whoever the other driver was. Slow down.
I drive fast sometimes, but it's like 10 over.
That's
Usually.
acceptable. Not 70 over.
Not 70 over.
Slow the fuck down.
That's insane.
You guys, I'm not even just, I'm yelling at everybody who's listening. Slow down. You don't need to get somewhere that fast. You could die. You got shit to
Wherever
live
you're
for.
going's not worth it.
No! Call someone and be like, I'm gonna be late. Why do you think I'm late everywhere?
Literally, we decided on noon, and you ended up showing up at 1 today.
12:40. I texted him, I said 12:30. I showed up at 12:45.
Anyway.
With Starbucks. Whatever.
It was really ridiculous that car was stopped in the middle of the road.
Yeah. Kind of pissed me off.
Because
Because now Dad's dead for no reason. The kid's fucked up.
Yeah, that can happen. You know, your car, you can't move your car from the road. I get it. Number 2, that dude's an asshole who swerved out of the way at the last second when they were clearly going, you know, over the speed limit,
Yeah.
both cars. And then for them not to have like warnings set up either. Because usually, like, well, I guess not usually, but sometimes there's cars with flares in it,
Yeah.
or those little reflective triangles or something. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The point is that there was a great relationship between the two that had one of the most awful ways it could end.
Uh-huh. I agree.
But then it goes into 1 year later, and it's such, like, 1 year is not enough. That's such a rough way to lose a parent. Not that we know, thankfully. But that's such an awful way to lose a parent. And
he was there while that happened.
yeah. And he was driving, so there's no way he doesn't blame himself.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Even though he might say he doesn't or whatever, but it's still, that 1 year is not enough. And then for the teacher was a little out of line.
Yeah.
Kale's having a rough time.
Cut him some slack, dude. You know his dad just died.
It's not like he needed to like pass him or anything, but he's obviously a delinquent because this is his third strike when he punches him. He's obviously not a good student. This can't be, you know, the only class that he's not exactly passing in.
Yeah.
Cut the kid some slack. You don't have to give him a good grade, but like,
Chill.
it's been a year, 1 year, and you say, what would your father think of you? Don't even
bring that up. Shut up.
So that's I kind of like that the judge was like, I get it, it's rough. He kind of said something he probably shouldn't have. I'll give you house arrest instead of juvie, which I was kind of sympathizing with him. Like, okay, you at least understand, and I assume that the teacher now understands. Like,
Hopefully.
after getting rocked in the face. You
Which he
probably
deserved.
shouldn't bring up kids' dead parents.
No, why would you do that to anybody? That's so silly.
But then the cop is the teacher's cousin. The cop
Yeah, that's wrong.
that's like in charge of he got first dibs. They say later in the movie he got first dibs whenever Kale breaks the perimeter or whatever. That's a huge conflict of interest. Like, he literally could have, which I know he tried to call what's her face and be like, hey, the cop is my teacher's cousin, this is a huge conflict of interest, and she's just like, he didn't haul you away, did he? There were people he could call and be like, listen, This isn't okay. He's gonna treat me way worse than I deserve.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like I want to, run away or anything like that, but like,
Get someone else.
Can you at least get someone else
Yeah.
to come? Like, does it have to be him? But this is the start of his house arrest. And I think this must be like a week or two or three. Like, this is several weeks into his house arrest where the Xbox quit working. She canceled his subscription to Xbox or whatever. And this is also where the craziness kind of starts to begin. You can kind of tell that, like, he's stuck in the house. She turned off his Xbox and his iTunes too, I guess. Oh, that's next, but he's starting to go a little bit stir crazy because he, turned the Xbox off, and then he was, watching the TV, eating the peanut butter and the chocolate and drinking the Red Bull, which obviously wasn't a good combination, but this is where he begins to kind of crack a little bit. But then his mom canceled all of his subscriptions, iTunes, Xbox, what have you. Which, I get it. He's in trouble. This isn't vacation for him and everything, but like, taking the Xbox and iTunes away when he literally has to stay in the house is kind of messed up. But as far as a plot point of the movie, if she didn't do that, that never would have made him, watch the neighbors and start to get suspicious. So in a way, I guess if she wouldn't have taken the subscriptions, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
But also, in a way, Kale saved a ton of people from being murdered.
Oh, yeah.
So it's give and take. Depends on how you look at it, kind of thing. But she was in cleaning his room, and she said, "You know what else I'm canceling? Maid service. I need you to clean this up or whatever." And he was clearly joking, but he said, "Yeah, let me just check my schedule." He was clearly joking.
Yeah.
He was just fucking with you. And then she comes over and like cuts the cord of his TV, unplugs it first, and then he says, "Isn't that a little dramatic?" It kind of was dramatic to a joke. It was just a joke, and then that's when she cut it. I was like, she's going a little crazy here. I get that he's, a bad kid or whatever, but come on. Cut him a tiny bit of slack.
Just a tiny little bit.
You're trying to not drive your son insane. But once again, if she didn't do that, he wouldn't have been staring at neighbors. So, staring at neighbors. This is the first time that we see Ashley, and it's clear, a teenager looking at an attractive girl who's just moving in. Plus, it's a really funny scene where he like smacks his face off the door because he's distracted or whatever. I always thought that scene was hilarious, even though it's like, no, it was funny. He's a teenager, so it wasn't exactly forced, I guess. But this is where the prank comes in by those kids. What is that called? What's that prank called? I couldn't for the life of me think of the name, where you light the bag of dog shit on fire.
It has a name?
Yeah. I can't remember. I was trying to think of the name of that prank, but they prank him by lighting a bag of dog shit on fire on his porch, and he ends up putting it out with his foot, stomping on it, and it ends up being dog shit in a bag. I couldn't imagine, seeing this thing on fire on my porch and then stomping it out and just being covered in shit.
There's no name for it. It's just
ding dong ditching, I guess.
It is kind of illegal, though.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Because what if someone wasn't actually home and it just
sat
burnt
there,
and caught something on fire? But I would want to kill him too. So he forgot he was on house arrest and he chased him down the street. I would have done the same.
Oh,
I would have want to strangle those kids. But it kind of seemed like weird that the fact that he was back in the boundary, but it took so long to turn back to green. Because when he was testing as far as he could go, and he was making like the boundary or whatever, every time he stepped over, it would blink red, and then he would pull it back and it would immediately turn green. So what was different about that first time that it took so long? But it's a plot device, so kind of have to overlook a little bit. But I really like the testing boundaries where he's figuring out how far he can go, because it kind of shows that like he's starting to accept that he's stuck in his house and
there's nothing he can do.
Right. So this is like, okay, well, starting to make sense here. He's starting to realize that he can't go anywhere. He might as well find out how far he can go. And then this is also where he starts to spy. He has nothing to keep him busy. And I think didn't he see Turner first? He started looking through at Turner, seeing him do stuff. And he was looking through the fence with the rabbit. I thought it was kind of weird.
Oh yeah. That was weird.
Yeah, that was strange.
That was when it first started to get like a little creepy.
Yeah. And then he's weeks into spying, right? And Ronnie comes home, which is a funny way he shows up to the house, and Cale's just in his underwear and a shirt with a bat. And he answers the door like that, and it's really funny. But I noticed a moment where Cale's going to show Ronnie like what he's been up to on house arrest, and they walk into Cale's father's office. He clearly knows that Cale doesn't go in there, or hasn't, and you can see it on Ronnie's face. Like he hesitates at the doorway, I noticed. And then when he takes his first step in there, you can see it on his face. He's just like looking around like, I shouldn't be in here. But then that's when Cale calls him over to the window, and he's like, okay, I guess it's okay for me to be here. But you can see that Ronnie genuinely cares about Cale, and it's not so much of like, we're just friends kind of thing. It's like
we're bros.
Yeah, exactly. But he actually genuinely cares, because he knows, like, you could see on his face, like, I shouldn't be in this room. It was nice to see that from him. But he's showing him around, like, what he's been up to, and explaining all the neighbors and what they're doing every day, and that the husband having the affair, and the Ding Dong Ditch kids.
Yeah.
He showed them, and then showed him Turner was like, he does this twice a day, and about other than that, I don't really see him. And then he shows him Ashley, and he's like, what's stopping you from going to talk to her? And obviously he can't go talk to her. But then the next scene is a little bit of foreshadowing with that news report saying, oh, this girl turned up missing. She was driving a blue Mustang with a dented fender, blah, blah, blah. And then, or he was, the killer, the one who abducted her, was driving a late 60s, I think it was, Mustang with a dented fender. And the foreshadowing was that it was him, Turner, that killed the girl, but we don't know that yet. We just saw the news report, and then it it goes to Ashley's argument. Isn't she doing yoga or something and her dad comes in screaming at her? Yeah. Which you can obviously tell that there's a tension with the family. You kind of find out later, like, the dad was cheating on the mom.
Yeah.
And they moved out here to kind of reconcile or whatever. But
Patch
like,
it up.
it seems like they're trying to take it out on Ashley instead of, you know, working it out with the two of them or whatever. You know, what normal adults do.
Oh, yeah.
Take it out on everybody else instead of each other or whatever. But this is shortly before the scene that we get the first hint that he's a killer. And it was that, I'd say, 2 seconds of you seeing the dent in the fender. Which was a cool way to, like, dangle it in front of you.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, hey, he's the killer, but we're not confirming that yet. We're just making it look like it. And I thought that's real nice.
That's
like,
real nice.
thanks for torturing us. Like, is he the killer? Like,
Yeah.
it looks a lot like he is. Like, this is weird. But they just dangle it in front of you. And then there's that small jump scare while he was spying. He was spying on Turner, and then his mom comes in and scares the shit out of him. I always find that scene really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a fear fact about that scene and another scene that I passed up, but it kind of, the fear fact adds why I like that scene so much. So we'll get into that in a minute. But Ronnie came over again. And, another thing I noticed that I just now realized was that the mom is not in the movie a lot. So you can obviously see how much the father's passing affected her too. Like, she's constantly working. Which I understand because, you know, you lose a parent, you lose that income.
So you gotta work.
You gotta work. And it obviously shows because she's barely in the movie. He's at home a lot by himself.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, weighing on her. Which, yeah, like I said earlier, she kind of seemed a little crazy, but I guess she is working a ton and then coming home and he did nothing to help out and doesn't clean his room and she has to and stuff like that. But, like, there's a tiny bit of slack there that should be given. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She works a lot. But what I wanted to talk about was when Ronnie came over and him and Kale are spying on Ashley swimming. And Ronnie smacks into the window with the binoculars.
Yeah.
and he goes, "Do you think she heard that?" He goes, "Yes, she heard that. My deaf aunt in Omaha heard that." I always thought that joke is hilarious.
That's stupid.
It's stupid, but it's so funny. He's like, "Yeah, my deaf aunt in Omaha." Like, it's so far away from where they live, and she's deaf.
That's
like
so funny.
Two of the most exaggerated points. It's such an exaggeration and so funny.
I had a new client. She's deaf.
Really?
Yep. She's a little blue healer. She's my first blue healer.
Really?
She's deaf. Yeah.
Huh.
But she's crazy. She's crazy.
Of course.
She doesn't act deaf, I'll tell you that.
And it's just Shia LaBeouf's delivery for that joke is excellent as always. I think, well, he always has been viewed as kind of crazy with his acting because he like goes above and beyond for his acting.
Yeah, but I like his acting.
I really
a lot.
do too. But yeah, I really enjoy that joke. But then Ashley's locked out of her house. Was she really? Or was that kind of using an excuse? I heard them smack the window. So and I know he's home, he's under house arrest. But was she actually locked out of the house, or did she just use that as an excuse to actually go talk to him finally? I don't know. I think that maybe she used it as an excuse. But they start a stakeout, and this is the beginning of like all of them as a group spying and figuring out that he's a killer, so on and so forth. seems to be the beginning of that because, she was very interested in this stuff, and obviously both of them are. And Ronnie brings over his recording equipment, all the cameras and shit. Which is funny that he had his uncle or whatever just has this bin full of cameras and
like,
recording equipment and whatnot. I think it's hilarious. But I really like this scene because you can view it from two ways. It's that attack on that girl. He brings that club girl home and he attacks her. You can view it from two ways. You can view it from them just getting, frisky, and you can view it of him actually being attacked. So if in your brain you're like, oh yeah, they're just, fooling around or whatever, you can actually see it.
Uh-huh.
But if you actually go with the fact that that he's a killer and you watch that scene, you can see him attacking her. It's such a well shot scene that it could be either way. It could just be him, chasing her around having fun, or it could be him chasing her around to kill her. I really like the subtle way it was shot, just to portray both sides. I also like the fact that the girl leaves, quotations, and it shows like, oh, okay, maybe, we're all wrong. Him staring through the window at him, while he was looking through the binoculars was kind of weird. But, it was very cool that they added that scene where she leaves. Quotes. Leaves. And then Robert is in Cale's house. The mom's tire went flat, which seems weird and ironic that he was just there to help after, watching the movie and knowing, he was the killer. But we don't know that at this point. It just looks like a Good Samaritan type deal. But when Turner is in the house, actually in the house talking to Cale, it felt more like a size up than a conversation.
Or just I'm here and I know what you're doing, sort of deal.
It kind of, that's what I mean. That's a size up. I'm here and I know what you're doing, you know what I'm doing, but what are you going to do about it type thing. Trying to feel him out, be like, are you actually going to do something? Is this going to be a problem? Because if it is, should stop now kind of thing.
Yeah.
It felt like he was intimidating him. Ashley throws that party. They had a little bit of an argument. There's a relationship, forming between the two of them. And it started that night that they started that stakeout. She drew the hearts and was messing with Cale while, Ronnie was asleep and stuff. But they had that bickering, I guess you could call it. And she throws a party. She keeps looking up at Cale. You can obviously tell she wants him to make a move. She likes him.
Yeah.
But, if he's not gonna, maybe he's not interested. There's these guys who are interested type thing. And she keeps looking up
hey.
This kid's cute, but, I like Cale kind of thing. And, his reaction to that is extremely funny. But first, the kids, he puts the speakers outside and cranks his music up, and he was waiting for Ashley to come over, and he hears the doorbell go off, and he goes and gets the door, and it's those kids again pranking him with the ding dong ditch, and he finally figures out his name is Greenwood. He said, "You better not be listed." It was so funny because you don't use phone books anymore, but
yeah.
It's you better not be listed.
It's so stupid.
It's the way that Shia, acts in the whole movie, but he says that line just
so funny,
so good. Anyway, Ashley, climbed in through his window and stops the music, and they have that fighting They're like fighting over the iPod thing, which is actually kind of funny between the two of them because that's like probably the closest they've been to each other. And it shows like how comfortable they've gotten with each other. And then he says the half creepy, half sweet thing.
Yeah.
Like, I've only been watching you thing, which is really nice. Like, she at least understood that, like, he's locked in the house. He can't go
do
anywhere.
anything else.
And it's
Yeah.
actually kind of nice that he was only watching me because there's a, you know, probably a bunch of girls that he could have been watching or paying attention to. And he's only wanted to, you know, get to know Ashley, and he's been watching her, knows that she's one of 3 people that like pizza flavored chips. I must be one of the other 3 because I like them too. But they finally kiss over that sentiment, like saying, you know, I've only been watching you. You're the one that, you know, I want to be with or whatever.
Yeah.
And she had good delivery on the line that's either the creepiest
Or
the sweetest thing I've ever heard in my life. And you can see, like, in his face, like, at first when she says creepiest, he kind of, like, shrinks away from her. And then when she says the sweetest, he, like, looks up and, like, what? What'd you just say? I really like that scene because of them. And then Ronnie is breaking into the car. They have that whole plan where she's distracting him, watching him and distracting him, and then Ronnie's in the car getting the garage opener because they need to see what that blue bag was that they found while they were making out.
Uh-huh.
And they get in there, see the bag. Well, they didn't get in there yet, but Ronnie breaks in, gets the code to the garage opener. Turner stops Ashley, which was incredibly weird and creepy. And it was another intimidation thing. Like, can you just leave me alone, please? Like, you're getting awfully close to figuring out who I am. Please fucking stop.
Yeah.
Because you're next. Kind of thing.
Ooh. Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I know. And she's like, maybe we should stop. Like, at this point, no. Like, get concrete proof and
Keep
fucking
digging.
get him. Yeah, exactly. At this point, you're already
Catch him.
in there. It was dumb for them not to have weapons ready, but, you know, it is what it is. And then they're setting up the plan for the house break-in, where he goes in through the garage and he sees the blue bag, and there's blood and hair all over it and stuff, but it was a different plan because he had to break into the car again because he put his phone down inside the car. Which, not good.
Mm-mm.
And Ronnie disappears at this point. He sees the blue bag and he's running through the house and disappears.
Yeah.
Which causes Cale to go over there. Did he even take a step in the house yet? I think he took one step in. That's technically breaking in and entering, I guess, but still, that's such a bad circumstance.
Oh, yeah.
They were there quick, which is good and bad in a way, but I don't know, it was such bad luck for him. He said there's a body in a blue bag in the garage, and they check it out, and it ends up being a deer. Like, there's so much bad going wrong for Cale, and it's making him look bad to Turner.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is the killer, but it just keeps everything is just... He's told him twice now, like, knock it off, leave me alone. And he just keeps going, keeps digging. But then the mom goes over to talk to Turner and say, you know, listen, he lost his dad a year ago. He's trying to work through things. I'm really sorry. Can you please not press charges? I don't need him going to jail. Just give him another chance type thing. Ends up being bad for her. He knocks her out, takes her and shit like that. But this is where we see that dead girl on camera. Ronnie was running through, and he knocked off the transmitter, the camera transmitting to his TV, but he was still recording. And he got that dead girl in the vent.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
That was wild.
Which is huge luck. Not only huge luck, but like, good thing, you know, Cale was looking at that moment, because that told him that there was a dead girl in the house and that he needed to get his mom the fuck out. Little did he know it was a little bit too late, because Turner was already coming over and he smacked Ronnie in the face with that bat.
Yeah.
But he's trying to frame, stop, and kill Cale at this point in the movie. I think he is an excellent killer, like, bad guy. He's in the Green Mile.
He's creepy.
He's in the Green Mile. He's one of the guards.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love his acting, but he did this role so
He did it really well.
He was so good.
He made me very uncomfortable.
Yes. And he has this whole elaborate plan that he's going to have Cale kill Ronnie. And he's going to write this note that Ronnie was calling Ashley behind his back and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And he already killed Ronnie, so he was like kind of insane. And then he kills his mom because she kept blaming him, blah, blah, blah. He had this whole plan figured out. So this wasn't just today. Like, he had this as like a backup plan, it seems. Which kind of goes back to him being a, you know, murderer. Like, okay, for sure, this dude has been thinking about this, has been thinking about killing his mom for a little bit now. It's not just today. And then he finds the bodies in the vent, in the water, in the basement, like everywhere, all throughout this house. And then he finally finds his mom, but like, him falling in the water like that, ugh, it's disgusting.
That was gross.
He fell into water, disgusting muddy water, with decaying bodies in it. There's no way that that water was in any way sanitary. There's just rotting pieces floating in the water and shit. That's disgusting.
That's
but he
my
finds the
worst
mom.
nightmare.
I know. He finds the mom, cuts her down, and he's fighting Turner again. And he stabs him in the chest and kills him, throws him into the water. And finally, they understand that he hasn't been talking crazy. Like, this actually happened. This is legit, exactly. And he gets Monitor off for good behavior, she calls it. Which is really funny, because it's not necessarily good behavior, but he stopped a serial killer. He killed, you know, a bunch of people in Texas and then came to, what is that, California or something? Came to California and killed a whole bunch more people. And this 17-year-old kid stopped him. I say he does deserve to get off a house arrest. And then she was just like, are you all set up to pay the incarceration fee, Mrs. Brecht? She's like, what? She goes, today counts. I just thought it was so funny.
Today
like,
counts.
he's getting it off, but you're still making her pay that $12.
Fucked up.
But he finds Ashley, and they finally kiss without being spatially challenged. If that makes any sense. Like, he can go anywhere now. They can actually be a couple and be a relationship.
Yeah.
And he may finally have gotten over his father. He's still gonna be upset by it.
Yeah, of course.
And he's still gonna be pretty fucked up from realizing, you know, his neighbor was a murderer and stuff. But like, it seems like this is a start of something good and happy for the both of them. And then there's the prank on the kids, which is absolutely hilarious. They're watching Skin Flicks, he calls it.
Skin Flicks.
And he's like, we're just checking up on our, you know, adult channel subscribers. And she's like, what? Yeah, you're accessing it right now, like on your second floor of your house.
HDMI 3.
And then She was like, "Oh, thank you for the call," and like burst in there
Yeah,
and like
that was
screamed.
funny as
That was
hell.
good. That was really good. Finally, he got him back too. I really, really like this movie.
Me too.
I think, what was it? A 6.8? That's too low. I give it an 8. I enjoy this a lot. I think every actor in this movie did an excellent job. I I don't know. It's a toss up between Shia LaBeouf and the guy who played Turner. I love both of them as actors, and I can't really tell you, in all honesty, who was better because they were both amazing.
Oh yeah, they
They
did great
really-
in this movie.
They really made this movie as good as it was. It was because of those two. But yeah, I got a couple fear facts here. For my first one, well, what did you rate this movie?
Like a 7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
I really like this one a lot, and
Me
it's
too.
because of Shia, and it's already a good story because Alfred Hitchcock made Rear Window, and this is like based off of that and stuff. But this is one of my favorites, so that's up there too. So the fear facts. Oh, I did. I told you all this. It was like an updated version of Rear Window, so I did write it down. I'll skip over to that. So the guy who played Turner would not talk to Shia or the other kids, like any of the teenagers, because of the fact that he's the killer. But he did not talk to them until after filming the movie, and Shia said that he was like one of the nicest people he's ever met.
Oh really?
He was just like, yeah, he would not speak to me during filming at all until after it was done because he's such a method actor or whatever. Which is
Pretty cool.
kind of funny at the same time. That's like interesting. Shia actually talked to house arrestees, which gave him the Twinkie Tower idea.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So he actually went to talk to people who were currently or who have been under house arrest. And he was, asking them questions like, what did you do to get under house arrest? And like, how did you keep busy? All this other stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, I started to go crazy and I built this Twinkie Tower. He was like, I love that idea.
Yeah.
Can I use it? And they're like, yeah, fuck yeah. I want my idea to be in a movie or whatever, which is kind of funny.
Twinkie Tower.
Cale and Turner's houses were actually in 2 different cities. So the scene with the rabbit through the fence is actually a forced perception scene where the set behind Turner is actually shorter than the actor was. It was just the way that the camera viewed it looked like it was there, but it was actually in 2 different cities, Whittier and Pasadena. Which is actually kind of funny because in the movie they're portrayed as, next door neighbors, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's actually two cities miles away from each other.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Cale actually had a pole in his backyard that they had to grass over for the movie.
Yeah.
Cale and the father scene with the kid, the pregnancy and stuff. Apparently, the whole thing, aside from fly fishing, was ad-libbed.
Oh really?
The whole thing. Everything they said to each other.
That's awesome.
Well, I guess the fish wouldn't be ad-libbed. He's like talking and telling him how to do it. But the whole pregnancy thing, like I'm having a kid and like their discussion and whatnot, that was all ad-libbed. And the mother scaring Cale was also improv.
Yeah.
Like she actually scared him, and like he just went off of that.
Oh really?
Yeah. So that's
pretty cool.
Two of the cooler scenes of the movie. It's very cool to see the relationship between the two of them. To realize that was improv makes it even better, and why I like that scene so much. And his mom scaring him, why that is so funny to me is because that's also improv. So they were actually both genuinely scared,
Yeah.
which is really funny. And for my last one, When Ronnie came home from Hawaii
Uh-huh.
and he came over to see Kale and he has the macadamia nuts in his hand, that was added last minute.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So the question, he was like, "This is all you brought me? Some stupid nuts?" Like that was improv too, because
That's so funny.
the nuts were just added at the last minute. He's just like, "Here, go do this scene and take these to Kale or whatever," which is hilarious. The fact that not only did his friend come back from Hawaii and didn't bring him anything, but he just straight up was just like, "Yeah, here's some nuts that you can get in your grocery store right down the street."
So stupid.
So stupid. But this is one of my, favorite horror type movies, and Alfred Hitchcock's one of my favorite directors and stuff, so it's kind of nice to see a movie that was, based around his movie and to be this well done. I think it was a lot better than people give it credit for. But what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really suspenseful.
Yeah. It definitely played on
The
your
music
fears.
really
Oh,
helped make you feel scared.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
for sure.
Because the music, it got more intense, and I was like, oh shit, something about to happen.
And like the climax of the movie was so like sought after. Like you want to get to the climax of the movie, and you just want to find out if he's a killer, and then when it finally gets there, and you just like have this sense of relief, like,
Yeah.
oh, gee, I'm glad that we finally know. And the happy ending. Every horror movie with a happy
exactly.
ending is a great horror movie. Even the ones with bad endings are good horror movies usually.
Agreed.
Yep. So that's all we got. If you don't have anything else,
Question?
yeah. If you don't
Okay.
have anything else
Nope,
about
that's
this
all
movie,
I got.
our next movie is going to be starting October, which is spooky season.
Spooky season's upon us, guys.
So we're going to start with Halloween 2. Will be the first spooky season movie.
It's a good one.
It's a
It's
good
one
one.
of my favorites.
And this spooky season will be 1 year of the podcast, October 1st,
wow.
wasn't it? We started October.
Was it?
I can't remember
That's
what
weird.
the exact date was, but it was the first Saturday of October of last year. We've been doing this for a whole year.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
Weird.
So go ahead and read the question. We've already been doing this for almost 50 minutes.
Which film in the Alien series is set in Antarctica?
Well, this is a good one. I know some of
It's a
the
pretty
people
popular
listening are
one.
huge Alien fans.
I looked at you like that because I thought you were going to say the answer. Did you see my face?
Yes, I
was
saw your
like-
face.
I was like, shut up.
But yeah, I know people are huge Alien fans,
Yeah.
so they should get this one.
This one's pretty easy, I think.
But yeah, we'll catch you next week with Halloween 2 at the start of our spooky season.
Happy spooky season.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll catch you later.